You've been a fantastic group of people. We'll have to do this again sometime. Okay? Thank you so very much from all of us at MBA. Let's have a band contest. What do you say?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Larry McCormick, and we're here at the Marching Bands of America Grand National Championship. Before you, you will see 12 of the finest high school marching bands in the entire nation. They've been performing here as part of this competition that's been going on for the past few days, and will culminate in this Grand National Championship consisting of 12 finalists from a group of 47 bands. On my right over here is famed drummer, musician extraordinaire, good friend, and person that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. Featured drummer on the Tonight Show from time to time, Louis Belson. Louis, it's good to have you with us.
Larry, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm having a ball here today, really.
Well, I know you've flown in here especially to be with us tonight. We're going to get a chance to see some of your solo work with our Marine Drum and Bugle Corps.
Boy, what a fine outfit that Marine Drum and Bugle Corps is, really.
Right. I was sitting up here watching that rehearsal, and it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah. I told the kids, I said, gee, we really enjoyed it. I said, well, when the actual performance comes on, then we turn all the switches on, see?
Yes.
And we really get to it. You know?
Yeah. Oh, you're just warming up?
Yeah, just warming up now. When the performance, leg out.
Okay. Well, I'm really excited to be here. Steve Bailey, another party, will be joining us shortly, and we'll be doing some switching around here in the booth from time to time. Louis is going to go down to the field. I'm going to go down to the field. Steve will be with us shortly. We have Lynn Drabick, who will be our lady field announcer, who will be with us shortly. And we're going to be starting this competition relatively soon with the band that drew #1 spot in the competition tonight. Before we do that, let me give you a little insight about what you're going to see. You're going to see bands that will be performing a show that's been prepared that will take from 8 to 11 minutes each. We're not going to interrupt the shows with our chatter. We're going to let them perform because they've been working on this show for months and months, and you can just expect to see anywhere from 150 kids up to 320 kids in some cases of these bands, just absolutely playing their hearts out for you tonight. And I think you're going to be overwhelmed at the magnificence of these young people. They truly are a joy to behold. And as a part of MBA, I get to be with these kids all the time, and I get to see this kind of thing all the time. And I think it's time that you folks out there in the country had a chance to see how great these kids are. Louis, you've been here for a little bit. You've been watching part of the competition. How do you react to the way the kids were performing?
Well, you know, first of all, I have to preface it by saying this, Larry. Some of the kids said to me, they said, how does this fare out for you? You're known as like a swing or jazz drummer or whatever. And I said, well, you know, this wild thing about this, I grew up right here with the marching bands.
Is that right?
Dad was a master musician. He had a music store. And I went to competition 4 straight years as a rudimental soloist.
Is that right?
And I played with the marching bands all through grade school, junior high school, high school. So this is not new to me. I'm comfortable here just like I am in a jazz band.
That's
but no,
fantastic.
I feel marvelous. I'm very happy you asked me to do this, Larry, because it's a joy, like you say, to watch these youngsters with the kind of talent they have and the way these bands are progressing from year to year.
Yes.
It is just phenomenal. You
Yes.
got to figure out how much further can they go. What more can they do than what they're doing now?
Yes.
It's
Well, the kids are really exciting, and what you just said, let me just relate that a little bit to my own life, because I told you earlier that you don't look older than I am by any means, but I cut my eye teeth as a drummer on listening to your records, and you were an inspiration to me.
Oh, that's
And my life is kind of about this also, and this whole MBA organization, what we do here, is a recreation of my childhood, much like yours was.
Yeah, great.
And it's I can't think of anything I'd rather do than relive this on a constant, ongoing basis.
There's no way that, you've got to put love in something like this. That's the only way you can do it.
It's a key word.
You see the kind of work that's involved. But it's really not work for you, Larry, because you enjoy it.
Yes.
See?
Well,
there's old Steve-O. He showed up. There he is.
Steve has arrived.
Hey.
I'll introduce you to Steve Bailey, who's our host announcer with us tonight.
Thank you, Larry.
And it's good to have you with us too, Steve.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here again. Again, this is the second telecast we've been involved in with you and this wonderful organization. Just can't say enough of what you do for all the young people in the marching band area. And again, the kids, they'll get nothing out of this but the best. I mean, they can't lose when they come out of here tonight.
Yes, that's right. Yes, that's the whole philosophy that we put forth, is that everybody who participates, who's willing to put it on the line in front of thousands of people like this, is a winner. They're
not
a winner
only
because they go for it.
Yeah, not only the people, but the competition is here also. And even though we're going to be entertained beyond belief tonight, these young people are competing for a Grand National Championship trophy. And to be sure, there's something to be said for the winner. But again, the program is called the Winner's Edge, meaning they're all winners. There's not a loser out on that field tonight.
Absolutely. Well, that whole concept of kids winning and participation is really what it's all about. And I get to experience that. We're going to do our best to show you folks some of the insides of the kids and how they feel about what they do here and how valuable it is to them. And I think you're going to be moved. I think you're going to be touched tonight, as I get to be all the time when I'm around this bunch of great, great people.
Such a joy it is to be around that exuberance, and you can see it on their faces. Now, they're going to do a fine job on TV getting the close-ups on the field, but unless you're actually down there and looking right at these young people's face, the intensity live, it's overwhelming. And you can see when they do something right, they want to about bust a button. You can almost see that. And yet when they drop a rifle or something goes a foul, you can almost see the heartbreak.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
well, I saw a lot of that, too, today.
I wanted to ask you a question. Now, we're just into the beginning of the year, actually. Like, the youngsters go to school in September.
Yeah.
So they've had, like, September, October, and here only 2 months. Now, do they work all summer long on things like this, some of them?
Some groups are competitive during the summer, but most of these bands don't get together until late August.
That's amazing, Steve, because you see the precision they're working with here, and they get that together in 2 months. That's really something.
Yes, yes.
It takes a great deal of discipline, doesn't it, Larry, for these young people
Absolutely.
they're virtually giving up a summer, really, because you know they've been working, and you know that this is in the back of their mind, that the competition's coming up and they want to perform, and if you want to do something bad enough, you're going to sacrifice. And for the young people to sacrifice, I think that they're learning an absolute great lesson that they will never, ever forget.
Yes.
Because with the stage bands, you know, which is naturally different than the marching bands, it takes them really into December before they really loosen up and the band starts to really feeling. But they're doing things out here already in 2 months. That's why I ask you. Some of them must work during the summer to really get that precision
many do.
Going.
Yes.
You know?
Let's just fill the fans in down there. We're seeing some pictures, the bands on the field. This is going to be our first band. And
this
Steve?
Is Norwin Senior High, the Knights. And their director is L.J. Hancock. He's been their director for 6 years now. Their colors, blue and gold. They're from a town of 1,900 people, and that's the amazing thing we found on a lot of these. They're not really huge, large cities that a lot of these great bands are coming from. You'll see a lot of these, practically the whole school is involved in the band. You see a population of a school of, say, 900 or so. Here's, for example, they have 130 playing members, 180 total members in the band itself. And in a town of a size of 1,900,
amazing.
You know the total school population can't be more than 300 or 400 people. And so to see the tremendous community spirit behind a lot of these bands, it's got to be fantastic.
You know what that is, Steve? Larry will appreciate this too. That's what Duke Ellington used to say as MUSIC. That means Mass Unity Sounding in Concert.
Good. An acrostic for music. We've never thought of that before. Excellent, Louis. Their music tonight, Chimes Festival, Ole Mama, Left Band Express, the winner takes it all, and going the distance. So let's go down to the field now for the Norwin Senior High School Knights.
The Knights show will include the following musical selections: Chimes Festival, Oi Mama, Left Bank Express, The Winner Takes It All, and Go in the Distance. Are the judges ready? Drum majors Dave Henninger and Bill Kansrock. Is your band ready? Norwin Knights, you may enter the field in finals competition.
testing. Can you hear me, Roger? 1, 2, 3.
Norwin Senior High Knights. And what a performance, Larry. That was if possible, that has to be almost as good as, if not better than, the prelims we just saw this afternoon.
Yes. I got to tell you a little story about this. One of the bands that won one of our Grand National Championships a few years ago is the band director's here in the audience. He's a good friend with this director. Okay, he was one of the bands that went on first at the championship a few years ago. And the band that usually goes on first is panic-stricken because it's like, oh, no chance of winning. Well, the attitude he took at that time was, look, kids, forget it. We're going to go out and have a good time. And we're going to turn on that audience the best of our ability, and don't worry about anything else. Just go out and do your thing. And so he told that to L.J. Hancock tonight, and that's just exactly what the band did. They went for it.
They sure did. Of course, now that can work the other way too. Now that can set the stage or the tone for every one of the other bands to follow. Yes. In other words, now they've set something very, very high, and these other bands listening and off on the side say, "Oh, we're going to have to do at least as good as that."
Yes.
So, just by being on first doesn't necessarily not mean you're not going to win.
Not when they come out with that kind of energy level. That's like they just set the tone for the highest energy level that I've ever seen. And I was watching them switch the cameras on the monitor. That was extraordinary. Louis,
I'll tell you, folks, sorry, to get this guy excited, it's got to be great, believe me.
Well, what both of you are saying is really right, because from my show business end of it, I find out that performers, I learned this from Duke Ellington. Duke used to say in the old days, the best performer always went on last. But Duke said it wasn't always necessarily the best one that went on last. He says, I used to beg them to put me on either at the beginning or in the middle while the people were still awake. That's what Duke used to say.
Oh.
But that's true. When you have, like what Larry said, when you have an outfit of that caliber and they can create that much excitement, you can put them on first, you can put them on last, or in the middle. They're going to create, because they've got something there that's so beautiful. No matter where you put them, there it is.
Yes.
The excitement, that's the key word.
Oh,
like you said, they set the tone with that you could almost feel it in the air. I was noticing the audience response too. In the afternoon, there's a few fans from one particular band, and they'll get up and they'll applaud during certain parts of it, but the entire audience this evening seems to be louder, seems to be getting involved with all the bands. It's not just the local supporters who followed them down getting up. They're all appreciating when something really smooth and nice is done. The audience must mean a lot to these.
Well, this is the culmination of this 2 days worth of things, and it's really kind of the culmination of the marching band season for most of these bands. And the time of the year it is, they've had most of their marching season in. This is like a release. I feel it myself. It's a big release of energy, and they're putting it all out through their instruments and through their performance. And wow.
These are obviously the high school marching band. They do perform at their local high schools also during the year. And I'm sure they don't get that kind of audience response back home. And so we got a classic showman with us tonight. There's got to be a little showmanship mixed in with some of this, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, even though they're a big group, I noticed the intonation, the precision, the musicianship, along with the bigness, really makes it an outstanding group.
And that was a big one. We've got a bigger one coming up, though. I don't believe the size of this next band. It's 300 members strong. The Ben Davis High School Band from Indianapolis, Indiana. Indiana has got some excellent bands coming out of that area. This one is, again, 300 members strong. Their list of credits, if we read all their accomplishments, we'd be here for about the next 20 minutes. All the awards they've won. They have done a tremendous amount, and you're going to enjoy them. So let's sit back and enjoy the Ben Davis High School Band.
Is your band ready? Ben Davis High School Marching Giants, you may enter the field in finals competition.
300 members strong, the Ben Davis High School Band from Indianapolis, Indiana. You know, you may have been listening, those of you listening at home, you may have heard two gunshots in the background. That gunshot wasn't someone shooting off in the crowd. The judges, when they first step off, they're given a shot to tell them the time begins. After they've been out there 8 minutes, they get 2 more shots. And that 2 shots you hear is the warning shot telling them that it's time to get off the field very, very shortly. Interesting thing coming on the way to the performance tonight with the judges. I was interested to hear their conversations. It's not like, boy, was that band awful, or did you see so-and-so? And they don't laugh, snicker, and tee-hee. They were commenting on, well, for example, well, that flag line, I know they can do better. It just wasn't there. And I got a tremendous insight into the judging just being with the judges a short time. Enlighten us a little bit, Larry, if you will, on the judging.
Okay, sure. The judges that we have here, there's approximately 9 judges, 8 that work between the press box and the field. Mm-hmm. We have people who judge what we call execution. That's the nitty-gritty that's happening down on the field. They look very carefully at the alignment, listen for intonation, playing in tune, all those kinds of things. And we'll probably be able to see some sequences of those guys at work. But then the other ones are sitting high in the press box, and they're evaluating the overall performance, the coordination of the music and the marching, the pictures, the way it all fits the music. And the concept is to present the music. Now, our system is what we call a build-up system, which is totally positive, so that the judges operate with a cassette deck, and they talk into it and say, here's what needs to be fixed, here's how you can do it, here's our recommendation. Then the second thing they do is they rank the bands in order of how well they did on a scale of the number they have to work with and they divide it down the middle say that's average, that's the most average performance, and then up towards 100 is the very best. So we call that the National Linear Scale. And those guys are all pros and experts and have been in the business for years and years. We have some doctorates of music down there, and great group of
So it's
guys.
not like they all start out with 100 points and then you start taking off points for things they do wrong. It's more of adding points on for things they do right.
Yes.
Would it be similar to that, would you say?
Sure. Let me just tell you a little bit about this whole scoring thing, because it's a bit
It's complicated, I know, in a
well,
couple minutes. It's
a bit of a facade about all of this is that the contest, the scoring, we've created is like a Monopoly game. I mean, we've got to have that to make the drama here so that the kids get up for what they do. But the numbers, the scoring, we want it to be the very best we can possibly make it. What happens with it afterwards is irrelevant, because it's all a game about getting the kids in a position to do the best they possibly can. They play the game like their life depends on it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And after the game's over, it's like, okay, how do we go do better next time? So that's really what it's all about.
So it's a constant building up system. It's not so much as, well, we did this, and this wrong, but we did all right, but we can improve here and here and here.
Key is reaching your potential. Constantly reaching for it.
That's an interesting point, because one of the judges did mention that she says, I know they can do better, but today they didn't quite do it. So it wasn't a harsh criticism or a slam per se. It was just a gentle nudge saying, come on now, you can do a little better, so next time do it.
There are no limits on kids today. The truth about it is that kids, in my experience of young people, is they can always do far more than I ever believed possible.
There's some big people that could take a few lessons from that too, because some of us don't really live up to our potential either.
Yeah, that's the way we got to the moon.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll get the Columbia off their launch pad one of these days again too.
Count on it, it's going to happen.
Oh boy. Well, you just saw a 300-member band. Now you're going to see one not quite that big. They're only 130. These numbers are phenomenal. From Chesterton, Indiana, here is you're going to have about 8 to 10 minutes of absolutely superb entertainment. The Chesterton Trojan Guard from Chesterton High School. Their music tonight, Verdi Requiem. It'll be Night and Day, If You Believe, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So let's go down and enjoy the Chesterton Band. Larry, I put you on the spot. If you were judging, what would you think of that one?
This is an old group that I've known for a long, long time. They've been competitors in the Marching Bands America shows for several years. They are really always one of the front runners. Al Castronova, the band director here, is just one of those people who watches, listens, looks, learns. And I've seen the band grow constantly. Last year they were a top contender. They didn't have quite the musical edge. And this year, in fact, it got to the point where I was starting to wonder if it'd ever be possible for them to produce that kind of musicianship. And this year, they've won 2 of our regional competitions already, and they're out to get this one.
Yeah, we saw them in the Summer Nationals.
Yeah, and they're outrageous. I don't know what to say. They're
That's
so clean.
outrageous in the good sense, in the best sense that can be.
Good.
Yes. Louis, what were your impressions of Chesterton?
Well, you know, I was thinking when they started, Steve, you said it's a smaller group, but there again, the size doesn't make a difference. And they're the first group tonight so far that employed the use of the electric bass, and of course they had the amp there,
Right.
which I think is a good addition in a lot of the bands.
That's happening a lot.
It's really it helps to get that bottom, you know, the melodic line and the bottom line really brings it out. But I tried to figure out technically what, from my viewpoint up here, what can I say to criticize, and I really couldn't think of anything. You'd have to be one of the judges down there to get the fine points, like Larry said, intonation, whether that close, see how the lines are, because it's almost letter perfect up here.
It really did.
It's
look
amazing.
That perfect,
It really is.
didn't it?
Well, you know, I'd like to be critical if I could find something to be critical about also, but I have to tell you that they are one of the front runners, and I expect they're going to do really well tonight.
Well, if what we've talked about earlier is true, that band director must be something else, because the band is indeed a reflection of its director, is it not?
Well, it's a mirror. I've said this before, but I notice being in front of band directors, I can almost tell within 5 minutes of conversation what the band will be like once I get to hear him talk and see how he carries himself and how he conducts himself. And Al's a giant.
He's got to be an exciting man, I'll tell you. You probably couldn't sit still talking with him.
And I feel for the judges. Can you imagine the 3 bands we've heard so far?
The joy about it is I was noticing that under this beautiful facility here. There's over 184,000 square feet of covered space here, and that's a little under 4.5 acres. And judging everyone, at least they're going to be judged all under the same conditions. We've got no rain. We've got no wind whipping the flags. When they throw them in the air, they're going to come straight down. And so that could make it even more exciting tonight for those watching to be looking for that, to notice that there's no elements to affect us here at East Tennessee State University. And what a glorious facility this is.
Johnson City, and it is really one of the neatest facilities for us. Last week we were in Houston, and we had mud ankle deep for the regional competition. And to be inside, safe from the weather, even though it was a glorious day today, the little extra reverberation that we get sound-wise is welcome. And we have room for 12,000 people in here.
And the sound even sounds better, because I guess they even do use this for concerts. They've got a tartan turf down there for a football field. That comes up, the basketball floor goes down. They can do about 12 or 13 different events in this building. It's the only building, I believe, east of the Mississippi, a collegiate covered dome sporting its own football field.
Well, you've done your research.
Yeah.
We're just wandering around this place today. I just could not believe it.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's one of a few in the entire country like this.
Well, we're going to have to get one for marching bands of America.
We're going to do that.
Have our own. That's all there
It is great, because I know myself rehearsing down there today. Normally I've done things on a field, open field, and it's a little difficult. You got to really watch the conductor. You've got the reverb going on, but here I felt very comfortable, you know, even though we had the conductor and so forth. I felt that I was with the Marine band, you know, and that makes a difference when you have a dome like this.
Really does.
It really does.
Well, we've got another band to enjoy now, the Maconaquah High School Marching Braves. Let's go down.
Drum majors, Todd McKee and Peggy Kyle. Is your band ready? Maconaquah High School Marching Braves, you may enter the field in finals competition.
Music, music, music. Wasn't that great?
Yeah.
That's really a wonderful outfit.
Yeah.
Here's a man that's played, I'm sure, artistry and rhythm a time or two.
Many times.
Your feelings on the arrangement?
Beautiful, beautiful. I noticed excellent drum section. Precise. I mean, really, I really watched this one. All the others.
I was watching you as you were watching them.
Yeah,
I could just see
and
you.
They're really together.
You might say the whole band was that way. It was very clean, very precise, very articulate kind of forms and things.
There
Wow.
again,
Yeah.
like Ellington used to say, you don't have to play anything real fast or flamboyant to make it effective. There, the tempos were smooth, but like you say, Larry, everything, the precision was there, and it comes off.
Wow, very
Beautiful.
good. Well, you see the three of us gathered around the table. There is a fourth member of our broadcast team to whom you have yet to be introduced, but we'll change that right now. Her name is Lynn Drabick. She's down on the field, and she has an interview for us. So let's go down and see her.
Of Phi Nu Alpha Sinfonia, professional music fraternity, would like to welcome all marching bands to the ETSU Dome. Also, they want to remind you to pick up your souvenir bumper sticker that says, "We did it in the
Thank
East
you, Steve.
Tennessee State Dome."
The feeling down here on the field, if it's possible, is even more exciting than what you're going through up in the booth right now. There's hardly a moment's silence because everybody is busy doing something. We have some people here with us who aren't busy doing a performance right now, but they're in a very difficult situation because they represent the first band that took the field in finals tonight. And over on my right is L.J. Hancock, who's the director of the Norwin Senior High School Knights from North Huntington, Pennsylvania. What does it feel like to have to wait now?
Well, it's going to be kind of an enjoyable experience for us this evening, Lynn, because we haven't had the opportunity to see all these other fine bands, and many times when you're on later in the show, you don't get the opportunity to see any bands. So the students are sitting up there now, and I think we're really going to enjoy the evening from this point on.
Well, you've been watching all of this from the sidelines, but I want to talk to these two young people who are out there experiencing it. Tell us who you are and what your position is with the band.
Tate H.S. I'm the head majorette.
What does it feel like when you're out there and you know all these thousands of people are watching? Is it worth all the effort?
Definitely. I'm a little scared sometimes, but I'm very confident and I have a good time.
Okay, and next to me we have
Dave Henninger, head field conductor.
You have a lot of responsibility out there. Are you aware of all the people that are watching you, or is it sort of lonely up there? Are you sort of in your own world?
I try to keep it out of my mind, just concentrate on doing the job.
Does all the hard work pay off?
We'll find out tonight.
Well, we wish you all very good luck. We keep our fingers crossed for everybody. It's a tough decision. We've watched 46 bands, and it's narrowed down to 12. I wouldn't want to be the judge, and Steve and Larry and Louie, I don't think you would be either. It's a very hard choice. Back up to you, fellas.
Thank you, Lynn. We just heard from the Maconaquah High School. Coming up next, from Hanover, Pennsylvania, the Hanover Senior High School. Now, the school enrollment here, we were talking about earlier, they only have 650 people in the whole school, and they have 105 members in the band. So this is going to be exciting. Their music, fanfare, children's dance from Marymount Suite, Tiger of San Pedro, and Out Here on My Own. Let's go down and enjoy the Hanover Marching Band.
Tiger of San Pedro, and Out Here on Mine. Are the judges ready? Drum majors, Peg Toot, and Kelly Sell. Is your band ready? Hanover High school marching band when they enter the field in finals competition.
Hanover, Pennsylvania. The Hanover Marching Band. Interesting, in that particular number, we saw a bit more choreography than we've seen in some other numbers. That butterfly effect I thought was excellent.
Yes, it's one of the better coordinated groups I think that we've seen. And as Charlie Brody, the band director there, and his group is a very competitive group. They've been around for a lot of years with us, and they're another one of those keep growing and growing. But musically, he seems to have a real good feel for how he puts his visuals together with the impact points and the slow, beautiful kinds of things. All those flags and things just kind of sweep and flow, and then the impact points, they give you another picture and a jolt. It's kind of, it's unique.
The interesting thing, with all the activity out there, the busyness with the flags and this, nothing was dropped. Everything was executed almost flawlessly, wasn't it?
Yes.
And that takes a great deal of discipline. Louis, you give clinics, you talk to young people. Your feelings on the young people, how are they pretty much like this, the ones you meet? The discipline, the sacrifice?
There's no way to compare, Steve. When I went to high school, I always say I had good training, but in the concert band we played Poet and Peasant until it came out of our ears, and that's a great piece of music. But we had limited band material. We had a marching band and a concert band. That's it. Today, they have the concert band, the symphonic bands, marching bands, but look at the material they have to work with, the music that's written for the thing. Because not only, again, do you see something that's visual, but the music that goes along with it is so beautifully well written. So it all isn't visual, it's visual, and people get a chance to hear something too, which is equally as important. Because there again, if everything is visual, then we have to say, where's the music? But there it is.
Yeah, this is something we were talking about earlier today. Some of the rock pop music, if you will, a lot of it is visual with fireworks on stage, painted faces, but there's nothing. They're not hearing or listening to music. They're seeing, watching music.
That's one of the things that always distresses me when I see things take shape on television and musical kinds of events. I'm so in tune with coordination of things that happen visually with music that it just disturbs me when it's not like that. And this is kind of the epitome of that, coordinating the visual element to what the music is trying to express.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, look, already we've heard Love for Sale, Night and Day, beautiful melodies, the connotation, the rhythm that they put, and all their visual aspects, but the music was there too, the culmination of both. And these, I don't know what to say to you, Steve. If it gets any better, it keeps on getting. I wonder where the stopping point is, really.
Isn't that amazing, the way the kids are?
It just gets better every year.
I relate back to when I was a young person in high school, the level that we played at, and we thought we were pretty hot stuff at that time, right? And today, well, my own son, who's a drummer, I couldn't hold a candle at my very best to the performance level that he is right now, and he's just like reaching 18.
It's amazing. But example, excuse me, is that one of the bands, I don't know whether here, but one of the drum corps, I think, played a composition from our book called Samba Andrea Swing, written by Don Menza, which is a difficult piece for a professional band to play with, and these youngsters play it. So when you think of things like that, you have to say they're at a top level,
And they play it very, very well.
Like Duke said, if Ellington were sitting right here with us, he would say all these youngsters need to do is get on a bus somewhere and go get some experience, and because they've got the equipment, it's all there. It's just a matter of biding your time, playing theaters and getting experience, because the equipment, like Duke used to say, the hands and the feet and the mind and the body, it's all there.
Wow. And we've got another one out there from Flushing, Michigan, the Flushing Senior High.
Drum majors, Steve Grant, Steve Yalda, and Greg Randall. Is your band ready? Flushing Raider Band, you may enter the field in finals competition.
Another one, another great band. Was it my imagination, or were there more soloists in that performance than in others? It seems there's a little carryover there, doesn't it? You know?
The band director here is new as the head man. Last year there was another band director there, and they've had an outstanding band for a lot of years. I need to tell you that.
Obviously that, yeah.
However, what's beautiful about this is that a man who built this band to a really fine-tuned instrument last year, they competed in the Grand National Championship. They would have won the contest if it weren't for a penalty. They did an outstanding performance. They came back this year, and they really want to win very badly again with a new man in charge, and the kids that just seem to get back together, and it's, you know, better and better.
Well, there you go, talking about the judging again. And when we speak of, well, the grand champion, second place, third, fourth, you're talking maybe tenths of a point difference sometimes between these top three places. So it's not like one is that much better than the others. Like you said, they lost by one penalty point.
We had, in a recent contest, difference between one place and another place was a half of a tenth.
Is that right?
You put all the numbers together and it's added up, comes down to half of a tenth of a point. That's incredible, isn't it?
How would you like to be judged that critically for your playing in your orchestra?
Steve, I'm telling you, I've judged a few of these, not on a big scale like this, but with the stage bands too. And it really is, I have to use the word difficult, it really is, because you want to be fair, and you hear 7 or 8 bands, and how can you say one is better than the other? And because each one of them. Yeah, right.
They're both good.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, sometimes you're a busy man, I know. Goodness knows we are. But I've heard of strange schedules, but this man's got a schedule that you wouldn't believe. How busy are you, Louis? Tell us a little bit about your hectic schedule.
Actually, well, like for instance, the last couple of months, I haven't really had any days off. And the schedule goes like, we did a concert last night at the Friars Club where Milton Berle and Pearl donated their services for the judges. And so that meant a rehearsal in the afternoon and doing the concert and rushing to the airport to get here to be a part of this wonderful program with Larry and you, Steve, and all the beautiful people here. And I haven't been to bed yet, but I'm getting ready to go down there and perform with the Marine Band, which will be a joy. I'll sleep a couple hours tonight, get on a 7:05 plane, go to Charlotte, Dallas, and I got to do a seminar tomorrow afternoon in San Francisco. Wow. And then I'll get back home and sleep in my bed tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, and I got a rehearsal next morning. But that keeps my hands and my head and my body in shape. See?
Along with all of that, now, didn't you told us earlier you like to do at least, 20 or 25 clinics or instructional?
Throughout the year between my schedule, right. Yeah, I wouldn't be without doing that because it's, they give me the energy out here, you know.
So not only do you have a great deal of knowledge and you're willing to share, I think that's this is a beautiful man, ladies and gentlemen. I wish everybody could be up here in the booth with
somebody did it for me, and like Pearl says, you know, that people say to Pearl, well, Pearl, you don't really you didn't spank Tony and Dee Dee, our 2 kids, when they were. She says, yes, sir, Mama did it to me, and I'm going to get even with somebody else. So that's somebody was nice enough to me, so I'm passing it on. You know, that's the great thing about this music business.
Yeah,
it really is. Oh, this is a beautiful man. I'm glad you got together with him.
We really get to luck out that way. I get some real giants here, don't we?
What about the work this guy did, though, Steve, to put this on?
Man,
you know, I mean, when you think about it, all the hours of what goes on over there, all the thing that's setting this program up, they work from year to year on a basis of getting this whole thing together. It's something. Larry?
Well, thank you. And
job,
like
man.
you said, it's all putting it back into it. What you've gotten out of it.
Boy, you gentlemen, I'll tell you. We've got another band on the field right now from Rocky Mountain, North Carolina, the Rocky Mountain Senior High.
Rocky Mountain Senior High School Marching Band, you may enter the field in finals competition.
John Sykes did a fine job with that group. Rocky Mount, North Carolina, the Rocky Mount Senior High School Marching Band in this wonderful facility on the campus of East Tennessee State University in Johnson City, Tennessee. Larry, a gentleman named Ronald E. Beller should really get some thanks from this organization, shouldn't he?
Yes, Mr. Beller has really been a tremendous kind of asset to us.
By the way, folks, he is the president of East Tennessee State University.
Yes, he has been kind of the person that's assisted us in making this all happen here, and the support he and the band director, Mr. Joe Herman, and his staff, his assistant, Mr. David Vincent, all of those people, the part they played in this, along with the 192 members of their band who have been our kind of do-everything people.
I was going to mention that those kids are just absolutely kids. These are college men and women, calling them kids, but they've been absolutely super.
They pull off every part of this thing, and you know there's so much to coordinate on our end. We have to deal with moving big bands in and out of this, parking, hundreds and hundreds of buses, traffic, the security people here, the person, Mr. John Knox, who runs this stadium facility, the Memorial Center, just have bent over backwards to take care of us. They really want us to be here, and we're so thrilled that we can be here, because I'd like to take the stadium home, put it in my pocket, and use it all the time.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? And extended about 25 yards so it just fits the TV screen.
Oh, yeah, extraordinary place.
But it's a wonderful little city, Johnson City, the Tri-Cities area around here.
We've had tremendous press coverage, and the people from the various groups in and around the city have been supportive, and press. I don't have enough good things to say about it. Just I could go on all night about the people here.
In the facility and just in general, this has been a super 2 days, I'm sure, for everyone concerned with MBA.
Yes, a lot of energy going all the way around here.
Not unlike the swag team members this past summer at Whitewater. It seems like every campus you go to, you're going to find young men and women who are just as excited as the bands are.
Yeah.
That will really want to help out and want to do a fine job.
Yeah. I'd like to talk and let Louis talk a little bit about that last group, the Rocky Mount Band, because that was kind of a jazz-oriented book, and that's kind of right up your alley. How do you relate to that?
Well, there's an example. One of the tunes that they played is a thing called Quiet Riot, which I wrote the melody, but the great Bill Holman wrote the arrangement, who is one of the all-time great arrangers.
Yeah.
And that number is like we talked about before, the Don Menza, Samba Andrea Swing. Every band just doesn't play that. You know, it takes a real good band. And here is a high school marching band playing that. And what amazed me is they just didn't slough over it. They really played it. All the accents are there, the chords are there, the structure's there, the melodic thing is there, the rhythmical aspect is there. And I just had to sit here and just look at that and say, well, I never want to hear my band gripe about, hey, we got to push it in a little bit together. I can't hear it so-and-so. Here, they're spread out all over the field. And I always tell my guys, hey, the high school and college kids can do it. They just use their ears. They listen. That's one of Count Basie's thing. Learn how to listen. And they pull it together. So if they can do it, we can certainly do it. And my guys say, they did it? Okay. They button up the coat and they say, all right, let's do it. And then they do it.
Okay.
That's how I psych them into doing it, see? But that's right, Larry. They got a tremendous feel for those kind of things. Steve, that's a great example of, you know.
Okay, let's see what the next band does from Northrup, Fort Wayne, Indiana, the Northrup Senior High Marching Band. Look at that formation on the field, and all through that whole performance, there were some beautiful movements, weren't there, Larry?
They, you know, the unusualness of this band, because of its size, the only way a big band can be effective is that you've got to create patterns. And when you have so many kids out there that you have to coordinate, I noticed that one near the end, I commented to you about, you know, there were like 4 separate distinct elements of huge groupings that were all kind of doing different things and changing at different rates of speed.
Yet all in harmony.
Oh, it was just, it's a stroke of art, you know, to really pull those things off.
Well, the band director, Barry Ashton, can certainly be proud of that one. They stole another one from your book, too, didn't they?
That's right. That's Samba Andrea Swing, written by Don Menza. And I noticed this group, that the tempo and the timing was so beautiful. You know, they had that beautiful intonation of swing, let's call it, you know.
Did you notice the smiles on the girls' faces down front that were doing the dancing? You could tell they were excited, happy, into it.
Intense, yes.
And after they finished, they knew they did a good job.
Yeah.
That band was one of our host bands for one of our regional championships, and I've had an opportunity to see them, well, just a few weeks back. They placed very well in the competition, and they have a support team that, I don't know if we picked it up on the camera down there, but there's a few hundred people that have traveled with them. They all wear orange jackets. They have orange swing flags. They sit in the audience, and whenever the band does anything, they go bananas.
Well, I noticed that big sea of orange over here on the 30-yard line just swelled every time anything happened with them.
That parent support group is such an important part of the band working well. And it's a sign, again, of the band director who has the ability to motivate people in a positive direction and say, hey, let's get together and do something really good with this group.
The joy of that, of course, getting back, that brings the whole family unit even closer and tighter together. And if there's one thing we could use this day, is some tighter harmony in the family unit.
Absolutely. Music really brings it together, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I'm just tickled to see that.
You know, like Dennis Waitley says, you know, the whole concept of family, we're getting back to the basics of if the world's going to work, people have to work together. They have to be willing to support one another doing things. And it's the most rewarding thing that I find is getting large groups of people together who are willing to work at something to pull off this kind of a thing or a band show or whatever it may be. It's kind of a microcosm of society, I think. And the band organization here is just, that's a super group of people.
Your organization, speaking of great organizations, is a lot. I noticed out in the lobby, they have, you've got a videotape set up of other competitions, and you don't hear one bad comment walking by that booth. Everyone is just tickled to death with what you're doing and what you're doing for the young people, for the marching bands. And I've only been involved with you a short time, and I'm all ready to join Boost. And
no, you're right the first time. Boast.
That's right, B-O-A-S-T.
Bands of America Support Trust.
And so I'm definitely going to join that and send my check in. I'm all excited because I can't wait for my daughter now to grow up and want to get into this.
That's fantastic.
This is really exciting.
You brought up the Boast organization. It gives me an opportunity to talk about that a little bit, and I'm so excited. This is a relatively new organization, and we're like committed. A large group of people, all these people here, all the people who are attached to music in any way, shape, or form, of getting a large group of people together who say, wait, if we all work together, it's time that we allow our entire society to see what music does for young people, how it develops the whole person. And we're out to save music education in our schools, and that's the part of our bigger picture right now.
Yeah, it's sad because let's face it, times are not getting too easy, and some of the school systems are being, squeezed. And let's face it, they're not going to drop physics, chemistry, and science.
Right.
They're going to drop some of the PE things, maybe some of the intramural things, and then band comes along, and it's going to hurt.
Well, you know, it's time for a transformation of education. Transformation has to come is that we have to see that to educate young people, it's more than just teaching them facts. It has to do with letting people experience their true beauty, which is all inside. They'll teach themselves.
Well, you're doing a wonderful job, and again, I'm just tickled to be a part of it with you, and I'm just happy to be here.
Thanks. We're getting close to the next group here, I think.
And yes, they're from, where are they from? Actually, it's the band from Warren Central High School, the Gold Brigade, and they're our next band on the field. Jim Butts is their director, and let's see. Their drum majors, Tony Albright, Brian Plotter, Donnell Sovereign, and Lori Stevens.
Troy Albright, Brian Palter, Donella Swern, and Lori Stevens. Is your band ready? Warren Central High School Gold Brigade. You may enter the field in finals competition.
Another superb performance. A little bit more activity in this one than we've seen in other ones. I noticed that they have got pom-poms in this one. You don't see that too often in this kind of
yeah, I was
competition.
especially impressed with the synthesizer.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm glad you said that.
I wouldn't try it again. But the unusual sounds, the colors that we're getting out of the band, you know, the woodwinds, the brass, the percussion, and now the electronics are very interesting.
Yeah, I noticed there was another one today that had like a keyboard, an electronic piano, physically out on the field. And
yeah, they set it on the back of that bass amp in a little table area, and they wheel that around. It's got all the battery in it and everything.
And it does. It adds a little bit to the overall performance, doesn't it?
Tremendous dimension, yeah.
This band, your opinion, general overall from Warren Central High.
I think they did a really super job. I'm really not terribly familiar with the band, so I haven't seen them a lot. I think they're relatively new to MBA competitions, but the auxiliary groups stood out in my mind. The dancers, the coordination of those groups that you mentioned, the pom-poms, very good handling of that. And I think, you know, they did a fine job tonight.
Hey, to make the finals, they have to be. How does a band get interested, get a hold of you? For example, let's say someone's watching the program and say our band's good enough, we want to get in on this. Who do they contact, Larry?
Oh, well, Marching Bands America office is in Arlington Heights, Illinois, and you know, we communicate with all of the bands in the country through our Director magazine, and we have a mailing of that magazine that goes out to the 23,000 high schools. Most every band director in the country knows about what we do. They have an opportunity to just simply say, look, we'd like to be a part of it. We send them an application, and it's a kind of a first-come, first-served basis. And we're just now getting to the point where all our contests are being filled up and we can't take any more. So band directors are now getting in a contest a year in advance.
Isn't that kind of fun to have that, have
new
that predicament, as it were?
Yeah, it's a new experience.
Well, you've only been going 6 years, and my goodness sakes, you just come so far with it.
It's really been a lifetime dream. My whole career and what I've been doing in music has just kind of evolved through this, and I get to see that as my life goes on that I have the opportunity to bring the same kinds of experiences to young people, that the valuable things lessons I learned from my experiences in these groups, my relationship with my teachers. Every time I see it, it's just magnificent.
Well, again, a super job. Now, again, let's go down and meet our fourth member of our broadcast team, Lynn, with another interview.
Never-ending assistance. Also, to the members...
But we're going to steal a few minutes anyway in the middle of the excitement that is unbelievable down here. The tension's going on a higher level all the time. And we have sort of a different angle to give you right now. The people I'm standing with were in the competition. But they're not finalists. That doesn't mean they're not winners. They just didn't make it into the final 12. These are all representatives of Eastbrook High School in Marion, Indiana, the Spirit Marching Band. Gals, why don't you tell me who you are and what your position is with the band?
I'm Karen LeBanchi, and I'm drum major.
And you are?
Gina Webster, and I'm drum major.
What does it feel like to still be here, knowing you're not in the finals, watching everyone else? What does it do to your spirits? Does it change how you feel about being in your own marching band?
Well, it was a little disappointing not making the top 12, but I feel like we did our best job, and that was worth it to me.
And I understand this is your first time in competition like this, so it had to be a pretty special occasion anyway, didn't it?
Yeah, it was really neat being out there.
Did you meet a lot of new friends and learn a lot of things from watching the other bands?
A lot of the kids that seen us from other schools and stuff, they were really impressed with our band, and it made me feel real good for them to come up and say things about them.
Boosted your pride a lot, didn't it? And the gentleman on my left is Bob Schultz, who's the director of the Eastbrook Band. And Bob, you're a veteran director, but this is your first time to have a band in big competition like this.
Right. This is my 6th year of teaching, and I've been at Eastbrook all that time. It's taken about this long to figure out what to do in the show, so we thought we'd give it a shot this year. And I really felt we gave it our best performance of the year today, and that's what it was all about. So.
What kind of comments have your band members been making since they've been here about the whole experience of being in an MBA competition?
It was a lot of fun for them. We have a very young band, too, a lot of freshmen and sophomores. First time they'd ever been on chartered buses, and it's just a real neat time for us. And we stayed at an elementary school all together, and we just had a great time.
Well, it's nice to know that even the people who don't make finals are winners. And we're going to see some more finalists and some more winners right now. Back to you, fellas. Thank you.